I'm probably going to get some comments from people who are annoyed because they found the title misleading after, they listened to this for a little bit. But the truth is that making your speakers sound like a live performance is a completely unrealistic goal. And I mean, it's kind of insane that it's the standard that people measure speakers by. They say, and you've probably said it yourself, you've probably heard people say it, oh, it's just like being there, me sitting there listening to the speakers. Well, no, it can't be, because a live performance is more than just the sound. It's the entire experience. It's very much like looking at a photograph of a landscape and actually standing there looking at it in person. It's not the same thing at all. You cannot capture that in a photograph. It's very much the same in any kind of a recording. It doesn't matter how the recording is made, whether it's a real stereo done with two mics or whether it's a composite stereo that's meant to sound good, have good separation and all that. It doesn't matter. It's not gonna equal that live performance. Now, I'm not saying that live performance is better. I actually prefer listening to recordings. I like it better than the experience of going out. It depends, I don't do it anymore. I don't go to concerts or anything like that anymore. So I really can't say what the experience would be today. But back when I did it, I could take it or leave it. I much prefer the comfort. It's very much like, okay, going to a play and watching that, or watching a movie. There's a big difference, okay? It's very much like watching a football game. If you're into a football game, on the TV, on your big screen TV, with your surround sound and all this stuff, and then going to the stadium. It's not the same thing, and it can't be the same thing. Only when we reach the point where we have some kind of direct interface with the brain so that you're actually dreaming the event. As in, you're not using your eyes, you're not using your ears, you're using a direct connection to your brain, that you're going to get anywhere that approaches what a live event is, music or otherwise. So if the live performance is not the standard for musical reproduction, what is? Well, it's like I said in another video, there isn't even the recording, there isn't a sample of that locked away somewhere that you can listen to it in the original intent of the artist that made it. When it was being recorded in the studio and was being mixed, and there's so many people involved, and they were listening on this type of speaker in this room, this environment, it's going to sound different when you take it home and listen to it there. So what your standard should be is your own enjoyment of what you're hearing in your listening room, whatever that is. It could be a living room with a couple of bookshelf speakers set up. It could be a properly well-treated room like I have in my basement, where you sit back and you listen to what you like to listen to. And I wouldn't worry about whether it sounds live or anything like that. It sounds like it sounds to you where you're listening to it. And if you're not enjoying it, then make some changes to try to get something more out of it. But don't use the it doesn't sound live idea or concept as something to shoot for, because you're not going to get there. Nobody is. The only way to get live is to be live. I got some new music to talk about. Not actually new. I've had these for months, but haven't been doing these segments lately. So I thought I'd do some catching up. The first one is from Warpaint. Warpaint is an all-girl act band, you could say. Bit of a sucker for that deal. The all-girl band. Could be a groupie of that. And I came to Warpaint kind of in a roundabout fashion. I watched the movie The Rules of Attraction way back and instantly fell in love with Shannon Sossamon, which is usually what happens with me. I get fixated on a girl in a movie. Totally normal male thing to happen. Don't get on my back about it. But anyway, I went looking her up and on the internet. Didn't drive down to where she lives or anything. But yeah, I looked her up on the internet and saw that she was in a band. at one point, and this was the band. Her sister is actually still in the band. So this thing is good from, well, I like everything, but okay, I should qualify that because everything on there is kind of similar. I mean, there's not much variety. It's one track after the other, but it's a good listen all the way through. So I really like it, and I recommend it if you haven't heard the band. Okay. Next one is Heisz. I'm all female today. I should say that up front. Well, in the middle here. Heisz, The Reminder. This one is kind of weird because here's the cover. You turn it around, this thing is upside down. I don't know if that was a printing mistake or whatever, but there are 3 standout tracks on here that were on the radio. If I could see it, I Feel It All is the first one, 1, 2, 3, 4, and Intuition, all really great stuff. I came across her for the first time in the band Broken Social Scene. She did a couple of things with them. And Broken Social Scene was kind of a conglomerate, or I don't know, like an organization of different artists coming together and did some interesting stuff. But this, I really like this. This is really well recorded, really good stuff. Most of it, there are a couple of throwaway songs on here that I don't care for, but yeah, most of it is good. The third one is from Purity Ring, and I've got kind of an interesting story to tell how I came across this group, because it's not something that I would normally be exposed to in my usual listening things, on radio and whatever. And it has to do with video editing. I started editing my videos with DaVinci Resolve back in 2012. And so I went looking for videos to show me how to do certain things like you would. Probably one of the better ways to learn how to use a program is, looking at YouTube videos. And I found this color grading guy that was actually grading one of the videos, the music videos for this album. And, I watched that, and I went and I checked out the video that he was color grading, and I really liked the song. So I investigated further, and I wound up with this. Now, I've had this one longer than the other ones that I've bought recently. I bought this about 4 or 5 years ago, and really have grown to like everything that's on here. It's great from beginning to end, really well recorded. And one of the songs on here has the most insane soundstage presentation that I've ever heard. Okay, it's kind of like a soundstage blizzard, in that at a couple points in the song, it's like you're right inside a bubble of sound that's so clear and detailed and sparkling. It's crazy. It's the last track on here, Stillness and Woe, if you want to check it out. But down in my listening room with this thing playing, wow, it's insane how good that sounds.